How's it going, everyone? Titanhawk here, and today we'll kick off a brand new series of how to use the YouTube Data API. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull up the YouTube Data API documentation. I will put a link down below to this in the description, and it'll bring you to this page here. So you'll see right away that in order to call the API, we are going to need some requirements. You can feel free to read through the rest of this page as you need and start exploring some of the API requests you can do. But for this video, we're going to focus on this section here to make sure we have our API key generated for our project. So we can go ahead and open up the developer's console, and it will bring you to this page here. So for me already, I already have this all set up here. You should be logged in already with your email address up here into the top right. If you're not, you will want to do that. Then you will not see anything here on this main page. What you're gonna have to do first is you're going to have to go to YouTube, where it says for me, YouTube API tutorial. You're gonna wanna click this, and you're going to want to click on a new project. So for this, we can go ahead and say new project. We can go ahead and just say whatever project this is. You'll see here that there is a free plan. If you create more projects than this, then you will have to start managing your quotas, but more on that later. And you will need to change that as you need for your projects. So here, you can see here that already generates a project name. We can just go ahead and click create. And there we go. We now have the project created, and you should see up here, we should make sure that this is going to be changed. You want to make sure that this is set here to my project, the one that you just created, and it'll see here, you'll just see this screen here. So now the next thing we need to do is we just need to make sure we go then to enable APIs and services. And here is the API library. These are all of the Google APIs that you can use. Some of them are going to be paid, some of them are going to be free. You will have to explore that on your own. But for the YouTube API, we're going to scroll down here to where it says YouTube, and we will click on YouTube Data API v3. You'll click on this, you will click enable, and there we go. We are back with it already. So then here, to use this API, you may need credentials. You should see that up here at the top, and this is exactly what we're going to need. So we can just go ahead and hit create credentials. And then here, you're going to see this screen here. You want to make sure that you have YouTube Data API v3 selected. Then you will want to click on public data. Now you can change this depending on what you need, but for this, we're going to use the API key instead of an OAuth client. If you're using an OAuth client, this is going to be to get user data. So this would be stuff specific, analytics and data specific to a person's YouTube channel. If you want to build an app like that, you would select user data. But for me, I'm going to be selecting public data, as this is just going to be a brief overview of how to get data that is available to the public, like video searching and channel searching. So once we have public data selected, we'll go ahead and click next. It'll load for a quick second, and this is going to generate our credentials. So for me, this API key is going to be displayed here. You don't want to copy this to your clipboard and paste it somewhere else. I blacked out this here on screen just that way you don't try using my API key. It'll just be here. It'll be a sequence of letters and numbers along with a couple symbols in there. So you'll just want to make sure you copy that and paste it to your clipboard. Also, real quick, I will add that you might have to configure an OAuth consent screen. If you do have to do that, you'll want to make sure you go through this and set your consent as you need to. But most of the time, you're okay with just going to credentials and generating an API key. So let's go ahead and jump back into VS Code and we can start programming. Now that we're in VS Code, we can go ahead and start installing some of the basic dependencies for this project. Before we do that, first, what we're going to do is we're going to create a .env file. So here, inside of here, you're going to want to create one line. Just do API_key equals, and then you should be able to paste your API key here. You don't need to wrap it in quotes. It should just be your key here. What this is going to do then is we're going to install a dependency that will be able to read this into our project, and then that way we can make sure we pass it to all of our requests. So once you've gone ahead and created your env file, you can go ahead and close out of that. And then down here, we can start installing our dependencies. So first, we're going to use TypeScript for this project. So we can start by saying npm I TypeScript -- save dev. We only need this to be a dev dependency. So then once that's installed, then we can go ahead and install the next one, which will be Axios. This is going to be how we're going to be making our API calls, as Axios really simplifies everything down, already has a bunch of cool functions already set in place for us, makes it super easy to read and use throughout our project. So then the next thing we're going to do is do our .env. This is what's going to be able to read in our env file into our project and allow us to use that API key for our requests. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to install the types for Node. So this will be npm I at types/node, and we also want to save this as a dev dependency. This one might take a little bit longer to install, but there we go, it's been installed. And then lastly, you're going to want to make sure that you have the TypeScript node package installed as well. This is what's going to be able to allow us to run our TypeScript files outside of like any React project. No, let's just say we're just running a TypeScript file separately. This is what we're going to be using. So for this, we can just say npm I, and then we can do -g ts node. The -g is global here, so that way you only need to install it once and you won't need to install it again. So we can go ahead and install that. And there we go. So then the last thing that we're going to want to make sure we do here is we're going to want to go into our package.json, and you should see our dependencies here. Then we're going to want to add on to this. So we're going to want to say scripts, and this will be a new object. Inside here, we're going to say start, and then we're going to be say ts node index.ts. Now, this doesn't have to be index.ts. You can go ahead and change this to whatever you would like. So if you wanted to do app.ts or whatever.ts, you would just change that here instead of index.ts. So otherwise then we can now just simply create our new index.ts file, and there we go. Everything will be ready to set in place. I will bring in the TypeScript config, or the tsconfig.json file. I'll show you that in the next video. But otherwise then, this is all the basic structure that we will need to begin working with the YouTube API. So I know this was a shorter video, but I will dive much deeper into the API. We have a bunch of cool videos coming up where we'll dive into channel searching, video searching, and getting video ratings as well. Just a tease of what's to come, so be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of those videos later on in the series. If you like this video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like down below on the video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. Until then, my name is TitanHawk17, wishing you all a fantastic rest of your day, wherever you may be.